Hi, everyone. So, what we are going to be doing today is starting our Monsters Sewing Project. This is a project that we are doing with the kindergartners in some of our elementary schools. So, what's going to happen is kindergartners are going to design a monster, and you are going to be creating the monster in our sewing class. So you're going to be creating a plushy toy for them based off of what they've designed. So let's say we got this monster to do. So it's the monster with the square head. I can see it has 3 eyes, 3 eyebrows. The irises on the eyes are red. There's going to be a mouth, half mouth smiling. It has a tongue and it has a guitar. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I have all of my pieces cut out. I am never ever going to cut the student's work. Please ask your teacher for the pattern pieces so you can cut out what you need to cut out. Again, we are never going to cut out the student work. So what I have here are all the pieces that I need. So this student colored the monster blue. So I have a front and a back in blue. I have my 3 eyes that the student asked for. So here's my original. They asked for a brown guitar. I have this leopard print fabric here that I thought was cool. And then here's the tongue for the mouth. So I'm going to try and place this as close to what the student has as possible. So here's my tongue. That's going to go down. The largest eye is over here. The smaller eye is here. And then the medium eye is over here. Okay. So that's as close as we can get it. What I want to do is secure these in place. So I might just take a pin and pin these items down in place. Let me just grab some pins. So I have my pins. I'm going to pin my guitar down. Going to pin my tongue in place. I'm going to pin my eyeballs in place. Anywhere on here where I see black lines, I'm going to be doing some embroidery to get those black lines on here. So I have this eyebrow here, eyebrow here, eyebrow here, and then this tongue or the mouth itself. So what I'm going to do for those after is I'll find my black embroidery floss right over here, and I'll use that to create those lines. But first, what I'm going to do is secure all of these in place. So I'm going to start with my eyes. I found white embroidery floss, and I'm going to insert this through my embroidery needle. Okay, so there we go. Bring it through the eye of the needle. And then I don't need a ton. I just need enough to go around the eyes. So I'm going to cut my thread and create a big ugly knot. So I wrap it around my finger, 1, 2, 3, rub off that, get it off of my finger, and then I'm gonna pull nice and tight. And then now we have our big ugly knot. So I did not double knot my thread. I'm going to start behind the actual eye. So I bring my needle onto the back and I push my needle through right over here on the eye. And what I'm going to do all the way around this eye is a simple running stitch. So I go in, out. Then I pull through. Okay, again, in, out, pull through. Okay, if the pin is in the way, you can take it out. Here we go. In, out. And sometimes you just need to kind of wiggle the needle to get it through. It's a thick needle, so sometimes it can be a little difficult. So I will check back in when I've sewed my eyes. As you can see, I've sewn around the entire perimeter of this eye. So now I'm ready to knot off this eye. So I'm going to go to the back and I'm going to anchor this in place. So I simply dive underneath that last stitch. I bring the needle through. I have this loop here, okay? I bring my needle through the loop and I pull nice and tight. So now I've placed a little knot right there. I'm gonna do at least one more of those so everything stays nice and secure. So I bring my needle underneath that last stitch. Again, you might need to wiggle it through because the needle is thick and so is the thread. So we go through that loop of thread and then pull nice and tight, okay? Now I'm gonna cut my thread. I don't need to cut super close to the knot. I can cut a little bit further out. This is all gonna be on the inside, so I'm not going to see it at all. So I will check back in after I've sewn all 3 eyes on. So now I've done all of the eyes. You can see I've sewn around the perimeter. I did a running stitch. Now I look at the irises and see that they have red irises here. So I chose a red embroidery floss and I'm going to sew my eyes. So I enter in and I'm just going to sew back and forth until I get roughly the shape that I want for the iris. So I'm starting with just like a crisscross, and then I'm going to go back and forth until it basically looks like a circle. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that, how that looks. Okay, now I'm going to anchor on the back. I go underneath some of that thread, through the loop, pull nice and tight. Let me do that again. Underneath, through the loop, pull tight, cut my thread. So now I'm going to do an iris for this eye and this eye. So at this point, I have attached all of my pieces. My eyes are on, I have my irises. I also did a running stitch around the tongue and also around my guitar. So everything is nice and secured in place. So what I have to do now are my eyebrows and my mouth. For these, I'm going to do something called a back stitch. This is different when we backstitch on the sewing machine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from behind roughly where my eyebrow is going to start. So right about here. And And what I do for back stitching is I'm going to enter in a little bit over and then come back where that left off and pull tight. And now the next time I sew, I'm actually going to go a little bit past that. So I'm going to enter in here and come back where my last line went off. So pull that nice and tight. So as I go about doing this, it's going to create a nice solid line. So I go forward. Okay, so what you should get is a nice solid bit of stitching. And then I'm just going to go right to the end of this one more time. And flip and anchor everything in place. So now we have an eyebrow. I'm going to do that for my other eyebrows and also the mouth. So I'm going to show you the back stitching one more time because I realized I did it slightly wrong here. These are correct. This stitching should technically be on the back and this is the correct on the front. So let me show you one more time. So I'm going to knot my thread. Okay, start there. I'll knot my thread and then I'm going to start over here because this is where my mouth begins. So what I do, I sew forward and then now I flip it over and I think like, okay, where do I want my next stitch to be? So I want my next stitch to be right over here at the start of the mouth. Okay, this is a little far, but it's just an example. And then I'm going to come through. So now I'm going to go backwards and fill in this line here with my thread. Okay, so now I enter in right over here and pull through. And you can see the line is now here. So now I enter in over here, but again, through the back. Where do I want my stitch to be? Over here. Let me go a little further. Okay, there we go. And now I fill in that space there. Okay, so I'm building my line this way. Now, I guess if you want a thicker line, you could do it this way on the front, or if you want a thinner line, you could do it this way on the front. Either works fine. So now my monster is completely done. The eyebrows are on, the eyes, the mouth, all that's good. I am now ready to put everything together, and I will show you that in my next video.